are employees and in some cases, leaders of, then they won't know a lot of the options that are available to them. Me being, at Howard studying business, I didn't study acting. I was a business major. I was a marketing major. All of my mentors and people who I admired, were African Americans who were doing something at a major corporation or starting their own company, their startups. And because I had access to these people, I was able to narrow down something that, a lot of times people graduate with no idea what they want to do in life. I had an idea. I wanted to run my own company. And I can say that before I was an actor, I did that. I kind of feel bad that 31%, exists. And I'm not attacking anyone who does not agree, by no means, but it is everyone's responsibility, and it is corporate responsibility to at least educate children, because they are one day going to be sitting in this room tomorrow. Right. And if they don't know that these jobs exist, then that just takes away half of this whole situation that we're running into right now. Yeah, some of the people that are unemployed in this country, it may be because they lost their jobs, but also some of the people that are unemployed in this country didn't even have a chance at applying for some of the jobs that they don't have. So that's just my 2 cents. Sorry.
I take a slightly different view on the whole issue of a mentor. I would probably say nearly everyone that has approached me to ask me to be their mentor, I've said no. I have a biblical view on mentor-mentee. Moses chose Joshua. Elijah chose Elisha. A mentor typically chooses a mentee to invest in them, to raise them up. What I often tell people is, you need a mentor where you are. I don't believe that I can be a strong mentor living in Washington, D.C., and I'm trying to mentor somebody in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I can offer advice, I can offer counsel, I can answer some questions. To me, that's a little bit different. I believe a mentor, there has to be a physical presence there. I need to interact with you, I need to see you, I need to communicate with you. And so I encourage folks to say, no, find a mentor just where you are. I can say, hey, here's some things when it comes to parenting, but when you physically see someone caring for a child, raising for a child, you get it. Somebody who's a chef, you want a mentor, you need to be in the kitchen with them as they cook, as they prepare. And so I think when people approach us on this whole notion of a mentor-mentee, we should be real serious about that, because a mentor-mentee relationship should not be a forced situation. It really should be, I'm here to invest all of that I have in you to get you somewhere. That's how I've always looked at that whole idea of a mentor-mentee versus somebody saying, hey, I'm choosing you to be my mentor. I mean, I appreciate that, but I think being on the local level is a lot more effective as opposed to somebody who's halfway across the country.
True. Roland, can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. I want to add something, too, as being a mentee. What I learned from a program I did, which is called Management Leadership for Tomorrow, so when it comes to mentee and mentor relationships, as a mentee, you should be thinking of the mentor relationship as your board of directors. So if you look at companies, right, public companies, they all have board of directors, but they pick them very strategically. Mm-hmm. So as a mentee, when it comes to my mentors, right, I agree that I think some mentors should pick their mentees, but in other cases, I'm seeking out who would be a best fit to mentor me. And this doesn't specifically mean that everybody on my board of directors should be black. That's definitely not the case, because as I look in America, not everybody looks like us. So we have to have a diverse group of mentors, board of directors that can help us and guide us in the right direction from all walks of life.
Agreed.
Napoleon Hill calls it your mastermind group. Yep. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, now it's time for us to take some questions. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have only 2 folks on each side standing at one time, so we're not having long lines of people and we can't get to everybody. So we're going to have 2 standing over here, 2 standing in this aisle here. Tom is going to bounce back and forth. He needs to move a little faster to make it happen. So after you ask your question, you can go ahead and take a seat. And let's be clear, we want questions, no statements, no speeches, not State of the Union. Tommy is an Omega. He's a dog, so he's used to cutting, biting folks. So let's go right ahead. 2 questions here.
Old school.
2 here.
Go.
Step on the aisle.
Alan, first question.
And here's the other deal. Don't touch the microphone. He got it.
I just want to know, how do you guys give back in the community? I think that that's such an important part of being a role model and a mentor, is actually getting out on the ground level with these children, with the people we're trying to influence. So how is it that you guys give back?
How do you give back in the community? Any community or a specific community? In your community? Because that could be a little different than yours. Anybody?
I'm putting a program together for children of single parents. And, you know, my thing is, when I was growing up, the big discussion at the time was that the school districts where I grew up in, the books were older than the books for the kids in another district at my same level. You know, well, nowadays, we're not just dealing with older books, we're dealing with older technology, and this is a world that's fueled by technology. You know, so I'm working, using my influence, you know, as an actor to develop relationships and supply my community with computers, iPads, things of that nature that are going to help kids of, and to me, you know, I feel like kids of single-parent homes are at a disadvantage also because, you know, that's even less funds that they have to invest in technology.
Next question.
I believe strongly that we have to be connected in the communities and the markets that we live in. So I try to accomplish that and give back in a couple of different ways. Number one, I serve on boards of groups that I have a passion about, a group or an organization that is doing something that I believe is vital. The example I'll share here is I work with a group whose specialty is focused around financial literacy, because I believe that is one of the items that's going to continue to add turmoil to our communities unless we are financially literate and understand how to manage our money and go about that. I also believe it's important that we are mentoring, and I think we've had that discussion already, around how we project ourselves and how we give back to the community by showing our youth that they have options. They have other alternatives beyond what they can see. So mentoring is the other one.
Tommy?
Roland Charles Henderson. Do corporations do well because of responsibility or best interests, or are the two inextricably tied?
I'll answer it. Y'all go
I
ahead.
missed the question.
The question was in terms of a corporation, their responsibility. Is it a question of being responsible, or is it in their best interest?
Oh.
Is it a question of doing right because it's right, or we're doing it because it could help our bottom line?
I believe that they're inextricably linked.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously, you know, there are responsibilities, especially when you're a corporation that profits, you know, even within an economy that's, you know, struggling, to give back responsibly. You know, but profit is what you're in business for. So there's nothing wrong with making money. You shouldn't be penalized for being profitable. But at the same time, you know, there is a responsibility that you have to that community, whether it be, you know, being eco, being green,
Right.
or helping the people of that area.
It's also, I think one of the panels made earlier, it's also a question of, when you talk about your best interest, when I look at Frank Clark being the CEO of ComEd, an energy company in Chicago, I mean, one of his passions was the issue of STEM, and that is getting more minority kids involved in science, technology, as well as math. And so that was something that was important to him. That helps them because they have a feeder program where they were able to interact with folks over a period of years. I remember when I was at Yates High School in Houston, there were a lot of folks that were working in the high school for Texaco, for Chevron, and they literally went to work for those companies 6, 7 years later, and so that was an interest there. So they were involved in education, but for the company, they basically were training future employees at an earlier age.
For the next question, please pass your surveys to the aisle so they can collect those.
Okay, my name is Adam Callery from Chicago, 45. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, you give your address.
What street?
He ain't giving y'all address. What, you grew up 5 blocks from him?
Right around the corner.
Okay, all right.
Let me warn you, he'll sit you down.
He'll sit me
Next
down.
question.
So here's my question. I'm going to phrase it real quickly, or frame it real quickly. I wonder, as the discussion was taking place, I was wondering how many other ethnic groups or even racial groups even debate the fact of being a role model or not, and which led me to this question, which is, when will we look at role modeling as instantaneous versus worrying about whether or not I need to be. So, for instance, when you walk into the building, or when I walked in the building this morning, we're coming in, we're looking great, fantastic. People are observing us and live here. And what they see is what we're modeling. So when do we model to them so they can approach us and we can then educate?
All right? Who wants to take it?
I just want to make sure, he kind of went in and out, so can we just go that real quickly to make sure I understood it?
Tommy,
Real quick.
rephrase.
That's all right.
No. Tommy, rephrase.
Good. He wants
See
to
if
know.
you were listening. Go ahead.
He wants to know, again, when will we, in terms of walking into the room, in terms of role modeling, when will we come technically prepared to be on our job, to role model, rather than waiting to in essence, when the lights are on, cameras on, and playing the role?
Yeah.
And are other communities having the same conversation we're having in terms of the need for role models?
You know, I can't speak for the other communities, but what I would say and what I counsel folks on is that we are always on. And I believe that I have a responsibility. I believe that I have a responsibility whether I'm out with my sons on a Saturday. I still believe that people are going to look at me a certain way. I'm a brother that's 6'4", and I'm a big guy, and whether I'm wearing sweats and a cap or whether I'm in a suit, I have to carry myself a certain way because there are others who are watching. So I just believe that we own that.
So like last night, Dougie Fresh performing, I didn't care how I was stepping. I didn't care what y'all think I'm on TV. It doesn't matter.
Is that all right?
Role model thing. Go ahead.
I want to talk about integrity. One thing that I learned, even over the last few years, is having integrity, doing the right thing no matter when somebody's looking or when the lights are on or off. And so I think in terms of being a role model, we always have to be ready to go, right? There's a difference between being cocky and confident. So we don't have to go into an environment, being like we're the best of the best, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's okay to be confident, but we all have to be prepared to say, I think this is the model that's a good model to kind of replicate. It's not that your pants have to be below your legs. It's okay to wear a suit. Because I'll tell you one thing that I learned in the National Black NBA, and I heard this from some women as well. There's nothing like a black man in a suit. I'll just let y'all know that. So that's what I heard. So now, I'm just saying.
Now, you're right.
I'm right.
We were in Los Angeles at our Black Journalists Convention, and I was a student rep on the board of directors, Tommy, and we were at Universal Studios, and his brother came up to me, and he said, man, I got to ask you a question. He said, man, all these older sisters around you talking, what's the deal? I said, well, look how you dressed. And because we had the party, at Universal Studios, he changed clothes, and he put his Nikes on and his shorts. And I said, dude, first of all, I said, we in L.A., right? He said, yeah. I said, in the valley, it gets cool in L.A., right? He said, yeah. I said, see, here's the problem. You got shorts and Nikes on. I still got my suit on. Women get cold. You have no jacket to handle. I get to pick who gets my jacket. Like, bro, you might want to think about that. Right. I did tell him that. And for the rest of the convention, he had his suit on, and Saturday, he was like, man, you were not lying. Tried to help him, Tommy. I think he was an Omega. I couldn't help that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't hate.
Okay, my name is Lawrence, and I'm also from Chicago.
Oh, man. We ain't trying to hear your address.
You ain't gonna get it.
You from the city, got it.
You ain't gonna get it. But anyway, I got two-part question. One is...
We're gonna do one question, okay?
Okay, I'll do one question. One question. I'll cut out one part. And that is, what do you all think about, we got churches on every other block in every city, but churches don't take responsibility and be more of a role model. But they're continuously preaching, which is right, but a lot of them are pimping the people with the tithes and offerings.
All right. No. I got this one.